QPR's faint outside chances of a playoff place were considerably dented on Saturday afternoon, with Portsmouth completing the double over Rangers with another 2-1 win, this time at Fratton Park. Pompey's intense press and direct football proved all too much for a QPR side that just could not get going, and after losses on the road at Millwall and Coventry, this becomes the first time the R's have lost 3 consecutive away games since Gareth Ainsworth was manager. I'm Connor, aka Hoopsa. I make QPR match previews, reactions, interviews and features, so let's break down this Rangers performance. If you like what you see or you hear, don't forget to hit like and subscribe on YouTube, or click follow and leave a rating if you're listening in podcast form. Martí Cifuentes opted for just the one change to the team that dispatched Derby last week, restoring Paul Smith in the starting lineup in place of Yang Min Hyuk, a decision the gaffer would later explain as being down to the hostility, pressure and emotion that awaited at Fratton Park, something he felt Smith would be more accustomed to than Yang, despite the latter's eye-catching performance at Loftus Road. The other notable change was on the bench, where Karamoko Dembele found himself for the first time in exactly 4 months following his injury against Coventry at home back in October. A very welcome return, and hopefully he gradually comes back into the side with as few problems as possible. Now, as far as first halves go, this was as scrappy as they come from both sides, and there was very little goal-mouth action from either. Our best chance came 6 minutes in when Powell mopped up a wayward Schmid goal kick and smartly set the ball first time to a free Elias Chair, who broke down the left and carved himself even more space when he cut inside, but his shot hit Matthews and Frey could only manage a speculative toe on the deflected ball. Neither side would muster another effort at goal until 37 minutes when Chair spotted Schmid off his line, but he could barely lift the ball off the ground to take advantage, and the half-an-hour gap between these two chances tells you everything you need to know about the tempo of this match. Portsmouth's intense high press and physicality meant Rangers just couldn't settle into any kind of rhythm or build from the back, so we spent the majority of this game playing hoofball to players that just aren't equipped for it. The ball was either in the air, booted off the pitch, or being given away to Pompey. And for as much as our new midfield composition of Chair in the 10 behind 2 defensive midfielders has twice shone at home against Blackburn and Derby, it's twice been shown to be flawed away at Coventry and now at Portsmouth. We know how effective Isaac Hayden is in midfield, and here he quietly starved Chair of the ball in the centre, forcing him to drift wide and deep to get involved. And with Field and Varane both playing clumsily and, as we know, mostly incapable of driving forward with the ball, that meant we had virtually no ability to play through the centre of the pitch, which was largely the reason we lost so many games in the first half of the season. I've said it before and I'll say it again, Field and Varane are too similar to one another, and if we're going to persist with a 10 in midfield, it really has to be one of them paired with a ball-carrying 8, which pretty much only Morgan provides for us in this current squad. We've really missed his energy and coverage in the last few games, and while I'm one for protecting him given how much first team football he's played at such a young age, I'm really surprised he didn't get any minutes at all here when it remained an issue for a lot of the match. So with the ball repeatedly played long down the wings to Little Joy, Smith had just 11 touches in his 68 minutes on the pitch. It was increasingly Pompey in the final moments of the first half. They rounded off the last minute of added time with their best effort when Bishop nodded down a deep corner kick for Ogilvy, but his shot arched over the crossbar. Given the lack of attacking intent on display from either side, 0-0 felt a fair result at this stage, but we needed to freshen things up. Frey was having very little joy up top, the midfield needed to be regained, and the explosiveness of a player like Yang would have been very much welcomed at this point. We made no changes though, and with an even more lethargic start to the second half than the first, we suddenly found ourselves 2-0 down by 51 minutes. The midfield issue was perfectly on display for the first goal. Varane bullied out wide by Bishop, meaning both himself and Phil were at sea for Edwards' header into the middle. That meant from nowhere Dizelle was free to mop it up and steer it out wide to Murphy, who left done scrambling on all fours before unleashing a stunning strike from the edge of the box into the far bottom corner. And 3 minutes later the winger was at it again, stealing Cook's under hit pass out to Dunn and playing a pinpoint accurate ball across the box for Ritchie to smash into the top of the net. Ironically, this was one of the few times our backline had actually tried to play the ball along the ground, and we got completely caught out for it, which is in part testament to that intense pressure that Portsmouth applied for most of the game. But I have to say, Cook just still doesn't look right to me since coming back from injury. He's much less assured in himself, and I do wonder if we've rushed him into playing too many minutes too soon. Naturally, this would have been a pretty good time for us to make some changes, but for some reason, even with Portsmouth making multiple sponsored substitutions of their own and a trio of puke-coloured shirts waiting to come on the sideline, it took us until 68 minutes to change things up. And between their second goal and our subs joining the pitch, it only ever looked like one team scoring next. Ritchie actually did have the ball in the back of the net again on 63 minutes when the ref played advantage for Dunn hacking down Murphy, allowing the winger to drive into the box, Bishop applying the pressure on Nardi for the deflected ball, and Ritchie turning in the rebound. but it was disallowed when it looked to me like it probably should have stood. Dizelle then missed a sitter 2 minutes later when Richie cleverly found him on the edge of the 6-yard box, which really would have been the cherry on top of a bad performance. Finally, our triple subs came on: Lloyd for Smith, Colback for Field and Yang for Frey. The latter's impact was instant, pickpocketing the ball in midfield, driving towards goal and playing Lloyd into the box, but the forward shot trickled agonisingly wide of the left-hand post. 4 minutes later though, Dunn found an unlikely goal back when Chair picked him out on the edge of the box with a diagonal from deep. Jimmy beat Ogilvy in the air, chested it down and suddenly found himself free inside the area, and with perfect calm lobbed the ball over the keeper into the opposite corner of the net. It happened so out of the blue and the ball dipped so politely that it took a moment for the away end to register that we'd even pulled one back before descending into an a cappella rendition of Pigbag. It was a rare bit of quality on our behalf though, and even with one back and despite multiple efforts after it, that increase in pressure you'd expect just never came, and it just didn't feel like we were ever going to really push on for that equaliser. Harrison Ashby made a surprise jump scare appearance from the bench on 80 minutes as a result of a Saito injury. Dembele a much more welcome one on 87 minutes for Powell, but that intensity that you were hoping for just didn't arrive. Portsmouth sensibly dropped themselves back, and they quite comfortably held on for a deserved win. Now, I get that we're not going to win every game. If we were winning on the road in addition to our very strong home form, we'd already be in a playoff place. A lot of Portsmouth fans have noted as well that many away teams have left Fratton Park lately bemoaning their own side's performance, so you have to give credit to John Messino and his side. They've lost just twice in their last 14 at home, winning 8, so we're by no means alone in leaving empty-handed. In many ways, that high press is almost the exact template of how to kill Rangers in possession. When our game plan is so much based on building from the back, choking us in front of the defence gave us little choice but to blast it long. We lost to Wednesday and Millwall in very similar fashion, so there does seem to be a bit of a pattern emerging of us struggling against these more physical and direct sides in this division. My main source of frustration is that we just didn't do the basics. We didn't attempt to beat the press and play it on the ground where we excel. We just smashed it long for 90 minutes, which was never going to work with the players that we had on the pitch. And having been given 3 days off after Derby, Cifuentes will obviously be frustrated that we couldn't get going, so he won't be doing that again in a hurry. But then I guess results like this show you he's still learning too, and he is going to make mistakes. The changes came way too late. We continue to set up very defensively away from home, which isn't proving fruitful. And as much as I love Chair in the 10 at Loftus Road, I think a big rethink is needed in terms of how we set up on the road going forwards. Ultimately, it is a good marker of where we are. We've come on leaps and bounds since late November, but there is considerable room for improvement before we'll consistently be in and around the top half of the table. Hopefully, we'll see a big response next weekend back at home to Sheffield United, the first of a blockbuster run of 4 against the Blades, West Brom, Borough and Leeds. Anyway, that's all from me. Let me know, as usual, what you thought about this performance in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this match reaction and you're new to Hoopsa, then please consider hitting like and subscribe. I'm so close to 3,000 subscribers on YouTube now, and I'd really appreciate your help in getting there. Thank you so much once again, and maybe I'll see you next time. Cheers!